waiting for. We have Ben Bergquam. He's the founder of FrontlineAmerica.com and the host of Law and Border on Real America's Voice New. Over the past 10 years, Ben has been focusing on immigration and border, so I'm sure he's seen a lot of changes over the past 10 years. He will discuss the border invasion the mainstream media hides from all of us. And he's a dad, and he has a newborn baby here. So his wife and 2 children, Livy and Chloe, are here sitting at the table, and his new baby. He drove here with his family tonight to be with us. So we greatly appreciate everyone coming. And we hope tonight you will follow him, and more importantly, get your friends to follow him, because we want everyone to be educated on what's going on. Please join me in welcoming Ben Bergquam. Wow, standing away from the floor and even stuff. That's impressive.
Thank you so much, Debbie. It's a true honor. You guys are gonna get me tearing up even before I get started. So it's an honor to be here. Now I want to do something real quick. You guys, we are live right now on Real America's Voice News and on the War Room with Steve Bannon. We're on social with him. So I know we have some posse members out here. So I want to go. I actually want. I don't know if I can take this. Let me just do this. Hang on. We're gonna kind of. I hope you don't mind. We're gonna kind of go with the flow tonight, if that's cool. All right. Let me go down here, and hopefully you guys can still hear me. But I just want to get a shot. This is an incredible crowd here, a 3-headed eagle, and I want to give you guys a chance. Let me hear it. If you guys support Real News, there it is, right there. War Room Posse, baby. Look at that. Look at that. God bless America. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. All right. And by the way, they gave a little bit of a shout out. This is my beautiful wife, Villy, with our little daughter, Lillian. She loves being pointed out in the crowd. She loves standing up in front of the crowd too, but I'm just kidding. And then we have Chloe, who's my camera girl tonight, and then Olivia right here as well behind her. So they are why I do what I do. Okay, can you square that back up, Chloe? Hang on. I'm going to try to do this. I'll work it with you. All right, thank you guys for... Is that about good right there, you think? Okay, you do it when I get up there, okay? All right. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. We good? We looking good? Okay. I appreciate you guys being here. So I've come a ways. We live in Arkansas now. I grew up, my parents were missionaries in Africa for 10 years, and we lived over there. Got to see kind of what the world really looks like. I was young at the time, and I didn't really appreciate it until I got older. Moved to California. It was supposed to be for 3 weeks. That ended up being 30 years. We were on furlough, and God had different plans, and so new mission field in California. We lived there until about 2.5 years ago. My wife and I escaped the communist state of California. And you know, it's one of those things. I've got a lot of friends that are watching right now that are still back in California, and it's if you can stay and fight, stay and fight. But if God calls you to whatever God calls you to, that's what you got to do. And so that's what we're doing now. In between that, I always tell this part of the story because there's always redemption. Man, so a few years ago, I kind of got off track, and I was an alcoholic drug addict for a few years. Some of you guys know the story. I was ended up on crack, and kind of a Mike Lindell type story. Kept praying that God would take it away from me, take the addiction away from me, but that my wife wouldn't find out. And it just got worse and worse and worse. Was basically living a double life that nobody knew about. And one night I came clean to my wife, and I heard the Lord say, "You're set free." You kept praying that she wouldn't know when she was the only one that needed to. And from that night on, God has set me back on this path. And so I praise the Lord for that. I'm actually gonna hold both. I hope this doesn't look too weird. I'm gonna hold both mics so we're getting good audio for for the crew watching as well. But I praise the Lord for that. And I want to start off by saying, no matter what you've done, no matter where you're at in life, God still has a plan for you. If you're breathing, if you're living, God has a plan for your life. And that means for you and for your family members, if you have a family member struggling with addiction or anything, struggling with liberalism, who knows? You know, there's all kinds of struggles out there. Don't stop praying. Keep that God can turn any life around. He turned my life around. So, and even the bad people. You know, I think about people. Gavin Newsom comes to mind, and or Governor Pritzker. You got one here too. You know, they're all over the place, and I still that's probably the thing I struggle with most when it comes to, you know, there's a lot of areas in my life that God's still working on. But it's hard to pray for our enemies, but we're called to do it. And I look at some of the people, you know, look at Leo Terrell 2.0, or, you know, a guy that you used to watch on CNN, and now he's on our side. And so just praise the Lord. And I would encourage you, no matter how dark you think it is, God still has a plan. And so don't give up. And that's why I'm here. You know, God has called me to this. It's God family country. I have a dad who is a pastor and a missionary. My mom was a nurse, and so it's kind of that healing of the soul and of the body. And I'm honored to be able to do this. And I'm super honored to have people that it impacts. And I've got some amazing friends in the audience tonight. I just saw David Shostokis. We were out on the Save America Freedom Tour for several years with Real America's Voice News. Last time I was actually supposed to be in Illinois at an event was the week that my wife and I were in a golf cart accident that she broke her pelvis in 3 places, and I just about cut my heel off of my foot, and so we weren't able to make it. God healed her to where we could have a baby, so praise the Lord for that, and just amazing stuff. So David, great to be with you. Gary Franchi, Next News Network, some amazing patriots out there. Finally got to meet Gary. I've been following him, and we've been sharing each other's stuff for a long time, but to meet in the flesh. Mark Weiermiller is here somewhere as well. Where's he at? Mark. So Mark was the one who actually messaged me a few months ago and said, so I do a lot of work on the border, if you guys don't know that. And Mark messaged me, and I was going to New York, and I was like, man, I need to get to Chicago. I need somebody in Chicago. And I kept forgetting I have all these people in Chicago. I just forget about it. And Mark's like, hey, you need to come up to Chicago. There's all this stuff going on. I'm like, I'm coming next week. So he started taking me around and showing me the sights and the terrible things going on here, and we'll talk a little bit about that tonight in a little bit, but I just want to say thank you to Mark. And then we've got, yes, give him a shout out. Everybody, we're all part, it's just like the Bible. You know, we're all part of the body, just different parts, you know. Some smell better than others, that's all, you know. Mark smells fine, he's good. We've got Terry as well. Terry Newsom, where's Terry? Terry, behind enemy lines back there. Shout out to Terry. So I was here with Mark, and Mark was taking me to a bunch of places, and I randomly get this, you know, no coincidence, right? Steve Bannon always says this, there are no coincidences. I get this text, I'm driving through Chicago, and I'm like, okay, we got the spots with Mark, these 50-plus illegal migrant shelters that are just destroying your city. You're spending millions of dollars. And then I was like, man, I got to get to these inner city guys. I'd seen some of the videos of these guys saying, the hell with Biden, we're voting for Trump, we're Trump 2024. I'm like, I got to get to these guys, but I don't have the contacts for them. And out of the blue, I'm driving in Chicago, down the streets, and I get a text from Terry. He's like, hey, you remember me? We met at AmFest a couple years ago, and blah, 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 and I'm in Chicago. I'm like, man. So he sets me up with all these guys, so I get to meet Pastor Lori and Mark Carter and Devin Jones, and I don't know if any of those guys are here, and Chad Lavreau. Where's Chad? Chad's back there. Chad, God bless you, my man. And I don't know if any of the other guys are here, but God bless you. So this is, you know, it's an honor to be here. You guys have amazing people. Debbie, thank you. And everybody who invited me to come. It's just an honor to be with you. So I like to do I call it show and tell. And so I do it. Hopefully my mic, let me check with the guys. Again, we're kind of going with the flow tonight. I want to make sure I'm not over-modulated. Steve just texted me, and he said, huge, tell them in all caps, we love them. So this is a message from Steve Bannon to the War Room Posse out here. Live right now. He's watching you guys right now. Well, technically he's watching me, but he was watching you. And if I'm over-modulated, guys, just text me if you would. Tim back there in the studio. But I like to do what's a little show and tell. So I'm going to show a couple videos here. I'm going to show a couple stuff here, and we'll go back and forth, and then we'll do some Q&A, and we'll stick around until the baby tells me it's time to go. We'll stick around. So if we can, let's play this first video. And there's no audio to this. Chloe, you got that? You got the camera? Okay, we got the first one here. So this is actually on a mountain called Mount Cristo Rey in El Paso, Texas. And there are illegals on top of this mountain. They've already crossed into the United States. I'm flying a drone up on. And they're throwing rocks. I don't know if you can see that. So the reason I'm kind of flying up and down is to try to avoid the rocks they're throwing at me. This is a constant. So if you go to El Paso, Texas today, right now, this second, and you look up on top of Mount Cristo Rey, this is happening. You've got illegal aliens that are stationed up there. The cartel brings them over. The coyote brings them over. And they stay there. We good? Oh, okay. These guys basically camp out and live there on top of this mountain until it's like a Red Rover game, until the Border Patrol leaves, gets called out to another place, or they send the 1,000 of fake asylum seekers, the so-called refugees, to another spot. Border Patrol moves, and then you get the illegals that don't want to get caught that run down. That's happening on a daily basis. If we can actually get the next one up, next video, we're ready. Let's go back over there. So Chloe, back on there. Chloe, you are doing an amazing job already. Shout out to Chloe, everybody. All right, so as this is happening, this is about 5 miles down the wall. So in that section, there's no wall. In this section, there is a wall. The problem is you go 20 miles from Santa Teresa Port of Entry, which is in New Mexico. So technically, it's the border between Texas and New Mexico, the El Paso into Sunland Park, New Mexico, and then Santa Teresa Port of Entry. And then you go down towards Columbus, New Mexico, if you check on your maps. And it's a wall. It's about 20 feet tall. It's the older one. It was the section that they were going to, they were building the new 35-footer. But there's no Border Patrol. So walls work really good. Anyone out there, any liberal out there that says walls don't work, imagine a burglar trying to get in your house if a wall's there and if it's not there. It slows them down. But you still got to be there to stop them. And I drove this section. I've drove it multiple times. And basically, it's been given up to by Border Patrol. They've been taken off that line because of Secretary Marcus and Joe Biden, and moved to the processing of illegals that are claiming fake asylum because of Catholic Charities, because of the United Nations, because of all of the leftist NGOs that are inviting them to do it. All right, let's go back. Good job. That was a really good move. All right, let's play this. And so this, as I'm driving.
¿De dónde son? Huh? Mexicanos. Why are you coming this way?
So basically, you see that the guys climb up the wall. They climb over, they run down. So let's go to the next video. And this is the following. This is what happens right afterwards. And if you guys watch Law and Border, you'll have seen this part on the show. Just had those eight guys and one girl cross over right down behind me. I called into the sector headquarters, and this is what they said. 8. I've got 6 climbing down right now, and there's 8. I saw 3 already run into the U.S. So you said you've got nobody out here?
And you're probably close to PSI 335.
There's a dirt road that runs into where I'm at, and that's what it's AR 430. Yeah, the 430 road, and they're climbing down the ladder as we speak, about a mile east of that. Just a heads up, if you want to let them know, there'll be a group of about 8 going through. I mean, I saw another group about 2 miles back doing the same thing. So it's just wide open out here, huh?
Yes, sir.
That sucks.
Film it.
I am.
Thank you for calling it in, but we have nobody to work it, sir. Manpower is nil.
God bless you, brother.
You too, sir. Be careful out there.
Yeah, hopefully we get somebody in office that'll actually let you guys do your jobs, huh?
Heard, sir. Heard. Thank you, sir.
God bless you.
You too, sir.
So if you didn't hear that, he said, heard, when I said, hope we get somebody in office.
I want to play that again. Secretary Marcus, listen to this. America, listen to this. Listen to what he just told me.
Thank you for calling it in, but we have nobody to work it, sir. Manpower is nil.
Nobody. They have nobody. Nobody to stop.
So you heard that. Manpower's nil. So
he
when
said
they
film
tell
it.
you, I just want to kind of, I want to.
God bless him. God bless
If you
Border
think it's
Patrol.
bad, it's worse. Whatever
We
you
need
see on the
people in office who
media,
actually
unless
put
you're
America first
watching
again.
War Room and Real America's Voice and Law and Border, you're probably not, or Next News Network. There's a few of them out there that are sharing this. My friend Jeremy Harold does a lot to share it as well. There are a few people out there that tell the truth, but they're far too many that don't, and the mainstream media basically don't show any of it. This is not failed policy. This is the policy. This is by design. And so I just want to give you some real numbers. The Biden regime, you know, they claim that there's 8 million plus that have been caught illegals, the fake asylum seekers, and then they estimate that there's another 2 million gotaways. And just so you know, from Border Patrol to me directly, they say that number is absolute BS. The sad reality is they have, this is coming from Border Patrol to me, they have no idea what the number is that are the gotaways. We used to track it. They do some tracking of it, and the way they do that is basically by video signs. So if they have videos out in some of these remote areas, and foot signs. But in order to track foot signs, you have to have people out there to track them. And so they'll literally, just to give you an idea, they drive these roads, the dirt roads on the border. They drag the road with tires to make it fresh, basically, like you'd see at any baseball game. And then they go back over that and see how many footsteps they can count. And just in that last video, you leave it on that one, that's fine. In that last video I showed you, I drove that road for about 20 miles. I saw 15 different sets of tracks. So this was 15 different groups of illegals that had climbed over the wall and had run into America. And in that time period, over a course of a day, I did not see a single Border Patrol agent out there. And this was a 20-mile stretch. We went to another area. We broke the story on the Lukeville, Arizona, where the illegals were coming in, huge numbers from Senegal, from Mauritania, the Islamic state of Mauritania, which, by the way, still allows slavery to all the 1619 Project idiots out there. There are countries in the world that still allow slavery. Now, sadly, America does too. We have more slaves today than we ever did because of Joe Biden's policies. They're just the sex slaves and the people that the cartel sends in, and they're indentured servants. But I drove that. I saw 15 different trails. In that stretch from Lukeville, Arizona to Yuma, Arizona, Border Patrol told me the same thing. It's about a 70-mile stretch between there. It used to have 2 Border Patrol stations. They actually had full-time manned stations 24 hours a day. They've completely shut that station down, and I drove it. Again, not a single Border Patrol agent. Spoke to a Border Patrol on the other side. He said they don't man it anymore. So they have no clue who's coming through there. So what we have going on right now is we have Joe Biden allowing millions of illegals in claiming fake asylum that have been trained by these leftist, communist, globalist NGOs to game our asylum process. They aren't refugees. They know they aren't refugees. They're economic migrants. 90+% of them are coming for a job. They'll tell you that when I meet them in the jungle. They all say they're coming for a job. Other than the few, I met some Chinese Christians that were fleeing the CCP, and those are the ones that Biden doesn't want in. You know, we're letting the CCP spies and informants and everything else coming in, but the ones that actually, the reason we have asylum and a refugee process, those ones are the ones that kind of get caught in the middle of it. The vast majority of them are economic migrants that are trained by these leftist NGOs on how to game the system. So we had this whole group. Just let's go back to when Biden first stole the election and took over and undid President Trump's policies. And any Democrat who comes out and tries to blame Republicans for what's going on right now, they need to be shamed out of office. They need to be called out immediately. All of this happened the day after Joe Biden was sworn in, and he undid President Trump's policies. What he did, yes, for that clap. What he did was he sent an invitation to the world, and he sent an invitation to the cartels, and he sent an invitation to terrorists and everybody else to come on in. And we saw the worst numbers we've ever seen on our southern border ever in the history of our country. We've had more illegals come across our border, far more than came through Ellis Island in the entire time Ellis Island was open. And what happened, so we had these groups coming across. You had Catholic Charities, not just on the U.S. side. You had United Nations, not just on the U.S. side, but in all of these countries already staged. This operation's been going on since before Obama. It's through the Office of Refugee Resettlement. It's what got the millions of illegal Muslim migrants up into places like Dearborn, Michigan, and in Minneapolis, and that's why we have Ilhan Omar and a lot of these other people in our country. This has been going on for years. Well, what they realized was, we don't just have to take from one country. We can use this for everybody. All they have to do is come in and say the magic words, and Border Patrol has to let them in, and especially if Border Patrol is backed up, We don't have the manpower to process them. They started doing this paroled release. So instead of holding them, President Trump had the remain in Mexico policy, which is basically what stopped the flow. People got the word, well, if I'm going to have to wait in Mexico for my asylum hearing, I'm not going to qualify for asylum, I'm going to have to go back home. Joe Biden ended that, and everybody said, okay, we'll come up. So they come across illegally, they all say the magic words, they get paroled into the United States, they go anywhere they want to go. That's why I do the videos on the airlines showing that they're on every single flight coming up from the border to every single community. And then they're allowed in. Now, there was some bad press thanks to people like our networks, or networks like ours, people like me. No thanks to networks like CNN and MSNBC, who are absolute liars and frauds on this. They started getting some bad press, and a couple years ago, they said, well, we'll fix the problem. We'll do this CBP1 app, and we'll make sure that people apply before they get here. And all that didn't slow it down at all. All it did was create another pathway. So you have the people that are coming across illegally, turn themselves in, crossing the river, crossing the desert, and then you have the other people that are coming up using more Border Patrol resources and Customs and Border Patrol resources, and they're applying for the CBP1 app, and they're walking across our ports of entry, and they're getting the same thing. They don't have the resources. We don't have the immigration judges to handle the number that are coming across, and so they're just let into our country anywhere they want to go. Well, that started going bad. We had Title 42 go away after COVID and all of that nonsense and the lockdowns and all of that. Title 42 was one of the things that President Trump used to slow down the flow. Joe Biden finally ended that. They said they were going to use Title 8 to repatriate. It's all a lie. They're not doing anything to repatriate. It's somewhere around 70 to 80% of the people that cross in illegally are allowed to stay. We aren't doing almost any background checks. In fact, Joe Biden stopped the DNA testing that President Trump had initiated. And so at this point, there is no telling. I'll be honest. I am shocked we haven't had a major terrorist incident. I praise the Lord we haven't, but there's no question. She said it. It's coming. We have sleeper cells in our country. There's no doubt about it. There are. The question is the number. Is it tens? Is it hundreds? Is it thousands? Nobody really knows. But it's not just the jihadist terrorists. It's the spies, the long-term thinking Chinese foreign nationals that are coming in to undermine America from within. We also have cartel interests that are here. You have places like Venezuela, which is basically a cartel terror state. They've got a cartel called the Solis Cartel, which is connected directly with Hezbollah and Hamas. They've been using their tunneling technology in places like Juarez for years, and they're all connected. They're all buddy-buddy. And then you've got cartels from those places, gangs in those places like Plain de Agua that are here. Terry's met a few of those guys. They give the nice devil horn signs, was one of their signs, and they're just bad dudes. But they just come walking on in with everybody else because Border Patrol has no way of vetting them. Unless you show up on a terror watch list, unless you have been previously deported and you show up in our system, we don't have a way of knowing who you are or why you're coming. And that's why we're seeing what's going on now. We'll play this one. Chloe?
Never seen anything like this. It's a sea of people. Look at this.
This is in the Darien Gap. This is in a little village down in Panama.
And Lajas Blancas just being completely overrun, guys. Completely overrun because of Secretary Mayorkas and Joe Biden. Democrats did this. Kevin McCarthy, what are you doing to stop it?
What do you make of this, man?
Dude, this could get violent in a heartbeat, man. And they said it is emptied out. It's emptied out. A lot of the buses have already left. There were hundreds and hundreds more people earlier today. This is insane. I've never seen anything like this. It's just every month growing to a whole new level.
Yeah. What do you? So you're Panamanian. What do you make? But American. What do you make of what
right
Joe
now,
Biden and Secretary
Panama
Mayorkas are doing?
is taking the brunt of open border policy in the United States. Every one of these people is being given a free meal 3 times a day by Panama at Panama's expense, and it's swelling every month to numbers that are so chaotic and out of control. And Panama's just stuck in the middle of it all. They're just stuck here in the middle of the whole thing.
Sequence. Again, that's my friend Matt Tomlin. So that's a little tiny village called Lajas Blancas. I was down there. This was my 3rd trip into the Darien Gap. We had done one with my friend Oscar Blue Ramirez, who lives in Tijuana. If you guys don't follow him, you need to. Yes, please give him a round of applause. Amazing guy. And we were down there, so we did our first trip across the Darien Gap, started on the Colombia side, and went across. We were escorted by the Panamanian Special Forces called Centerfront. And then we have done 3 trips back in reverse now. This was the 3rd trip, and you see there that little tiny village. And a huge shout out again to Matt Tomlett, Michael Yan as well, who was the first one to invite me down there, doing some great work down there as well. And then a huge shout out to my other border correspondent, compatriot, if you will. Oh, I can use a liberal term, comrade. Anthony Aguero down in Texas. He does amazing work down there as well. So there's a contingent of us there doing some good work. But we were down there, and I couldn't believe it. We walk into this village, 5,000 illegals in this village that had just come over through the jungle. Now, I'd been there before, and you'd get 100, 200, a few hundred a day. This is all driven by the Gulf Cartel. It's all controlled by the Gulf Cartel. And I walked down there, I couldn't believe it. So this is what's coming through, typically on a daily basis now, 5,000 a day. It was 5,000 a day. And this is one camp on one of the trails. And there's 3 major trails, and then there's multiple little subsidiary trails as well. And this is only one of the pathways into our country. So people would say, well, why do you go to the Darien Gap? Look on your map when you get home, or now if you want to, go to your maps. It's the one place, the smallest, narrowest place on the continent between the United States. It separates the North America from South America. It's the last road ends down there. Actually, the Highway 1 that goes all the way from Panama all the way up to Alaska ends right there. There's no road, and there's a reason they never built a road through there. It was originally for agricultural reasons to keep the screwworm from coming up into Central America, but thank God they never built the road. They're trying to build the road now. They're building a huge bridge, and eventually they'll probably build a road. But for now, you have to go through this jungle. It's incredibly remote, incredibly dangerous, deadly. We've seen multiple bodies on the trail. Bad place to be. That's where these guys are coming. We did it with Centerfront the first time. It took us 3 days to go across, and it was the hardest, without a doubt, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. God bless all of our veterans. And if you're a veteran, please raise your hand. I didn't do that earlier. I just want to thank you. Stand up. Actually, stand up if you would, if you can. Thank you. I want to honor you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Chad. Stand up, Chad. You didn't stand up earlier. Stand up now. Thank you. And all of our first responders, thank you, sir. All of our first responders out there, thank you, sir. I get to do what I do because of you guys. So thank you. And so when I compare that, I've never been through basic training. I've never been through any of the buds or any of that stuff. But this was the hardest thing I've ever done, without a doubt. These guys are sending women and children. The liberals, the United Nations, and these Democrat leftists are inviting women and children to do this. And you've got children dying out there. You've got women dying out there. You've got men dying out there. You've got them drowning in the rivers and being killed by the cartel and robbed and raped by the cartel. And instead of actually stopping it, I'm going to get to some of my show and tell here, the United Nations, this is what they hand out. And I might need to cover the girls' ears here. This is not appropriate. It's not child-friendly. But when we start our first trip across the Darien Gap, we started in a little village called Nakokli, which is cartel controlled by the Gulf Cartel. I've been told we can't go back there after the reporting we've done. So I guess we did a good job. This is a little pack that they gave out, the United Nations, OIM. It's one of the offshoots of United Nations, working with another group called CARE, with all these hands held together. This is what we affectionately call the rape kit. This was given out to women and children before they go in. There's actually a sign that, and I don't know if I have that video. We may have that later on. We'll see if we get to that. And these were given to them with condoms, birth control, morning after pills, and a whistle. And instead of saying, don't go across there because you might get raped, you might get robbed, you might get dead, they say, here's a pack, good luck. And then they receive them on the other side. And we are paying for that. All of these, we're paying, not in every country the United Nations is in, and every country the OIM operates in, and the UNHCR, which is the other arm of the United Nations refugee resettlement. We are paying for all of that, and all they are doing is creating human misery. They are profiting off of human misery. So this is one of the souvenirs, and I'll get into some of the things that are inside this. Let's go to the next video as I pull some of these out. Yeah, go ahead. So this was down the river. So we left that village, Lajas Blancas, and then we went upriver. And these are the boats. There should be audio on that, but if not, I'll talk you through it. Actually, it's probably better if I just talk through it. So these are the boats. The first time I went, we counted 24 boats, and I thought that was crazy. Every single one of these boats is illegals that are coming out. These are the illegals that have already gone through the Darien Gap and are now coming out the other side, going into the villages. That's me talking. And we started counting them. On this trip, it was the same trip that we were in Las Blancas. We saw the 5,000. We saw 116 boats. So we went from 24 to 116, and the boats average anywhere from 15 to 20 people in each one. And it's from every country you can imagine, from the not Central American, they haven't got there yet, South American countries, from the Middle East. We've got Bangladesh, we've got Nepal, you've got Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, and of course all the South American countries. Now huge numbers coming in from China. And as we go, we ask people where they're from, where they're going, where they're from, where they're going. And of course, you guys know New York is probably the #1 spot. Miami's right up there, but Chicago, well done, guys. Well done, Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker. You guys did it. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, you guys did it. So this is all through, this is all through the villages. These are little indigenous villages that are being destroyed by leftist policies. These guys used to make their living selling avocados and raising mangoes and plantains and jungle fruit, and now they make their living. They used to make $10 a day was a good day. Now they can make $500 a day moving illegals downriver. So basically, they've just taken over the villages. We'll hold on the questions till the end, Gary. That's all right. But basically, that's what they've done. They've come into these villages and they've basically taken them over, and that's what you're seeing now. We'll stop that one. And I just want to show you some of the other stuff. So as I'm down there on the border, I'm collecting items that they dump as they go. And you get passports from everywhere. I got this nice Turkish Airlines little bag that somebody dumped because they didn't need it anymore. We've got United Arab Emirates IDs. I have IDs from just about every country. Greece, which is unique. I'll talk about that. Lots from Mexico, but when you look at these are permanent residents in Mexico. They've been given permanent residency, but they're actually from another country. This one's from Cuba, many from Venezuela. They dump these in particular because you don't qualify for asylum in America if you've already been given asylum in a safe country. So it's first safe country rule. And they're trained by the same organizations, United Nations, leftist NGOs, to dump their IDs because they'll have an easier time staying in our country. Hundreds of those. We've got everyone from, now this guy was from España, from Spain, and India, originally from India, same thing. So he was given permanent residency in Spain. He got the word, this new global illegal immigration industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry now that all you have to do is come over to America. You can make up a new name, a new history, and we'll take you in. Same thing, China, from everywhere. IDs from China. I've got a Quran that we found there, a little Chinese prayer book. Ukraine, tons from Ukraine and from everywhere else. So I'll let you guys take a look at those when you guys come through. IDs and medicine and everything else. That's happening every single day. We've got money coming as well. So I have currency from all over the world. Let's go to the next video. So while this is happening, Gary, you asked that question, what's happening? Where are these people coming from? This is in the middle of the jungle. This is what's left behind. There is...
Got reports, dead body right here.
Dead body.
We've got robbers just up the way. I just started cramping. It's super humid. See? You can smell the body from here.
Darien no es una ruta. Aquí estamos viendo una persona que acaba de fallecer. Es un cuerpo, podemos ver su pie en la parte baja ya en estado de descomposición. Este es un migrante que falleció.
That's a foot right there. The rest of the body's covered up. Looks like a small person or a child. This is the reality of the Darien. There's a body under the blankets. You can see the foot decomposing in front of us.
So that was one of 5 bodies we saw on that trip. This was, and I don't know if I gave you the footage of the shootout. Let's go to the next video. And by the way, if I'm doing okay on time, do we have the shootout? The next one's the China ad. Okay, hold off on that one for right now. Get that one ready, and then we'll go to it. So that trip was the 3rd trip. The 2nd trip I don't think I have it in this set of videos, but if you go on americasvoice.news, you can watch all 22 episodes of Law and Border. I would absolutely recommend you do that, binge watch them. You can get caught up on where we are today. Our third, I think it was episode 13 or 14 was the episode where we were going through and got in a shootout with the Gulf Cartel. So this was the third trip. The second trip we got about halfway, about to the same place, and we got reports by going in reverse. Apparently nobody had ever done this, which is shocking to me because it was like as soon as we went across once, I was like, oh, we have to go back the other way. That's how you get all the intel. And so the first trip we started going, and it was incredible. We had people coming from everywhere. We'd find out where they were from, where they were going, and then we started getting intel. They're robbing us. They're 5 hours up the trail. They're raping the women. They're 3 hours up the trail. They're robbing and raping. They're 2 hours up the trail, and eventually they're 15 minutes down the trail. And thank God we were with these Special Forces Centerfront guys. So they broke up into two teams. They flanked from one side, went in from another. One from one side of the river, one from the other, and they ended up coming in on these guys as they were disrobing a girl to rape her. One of the Gulf Cartel members tried to run and started shooting back at them, ended up shooting her in the stomach. She had to be airlifted out. She survived. She's back in Venezuela. Actually, I believe she's in Chile now, or she's in another country. So they shot her. The Gulf Cartel member that shot her ended up getting shot and killed by Centerfront, and two other ones were captured. But that's the reality of what's happening in this place. We ended up getting airlifted out, and we had to go back, tried to do a third trip, second one back across, and that was this trip. We ended up getting washed out on this one. I had full body cramps. I couldn't move anymore, and so we were going up the mountain. I actually got to a place where I literally couldn't walk another step uphill, and I've never had that. I've played sports my whole life, and so we turned around, and thank God we did, because the next day the rains came in, and we found out that up the trail where we were walking, there was a mudslide, and it killed upwards of 50 people. They still don't know how many total. So the reality of what's going on in there, it's just a terrible, horrible place that nobody should be going through, much less women and children. And my heart goes out to them. It breaks my heart when I see these kids. I think of my daughters, and I'm like, man, I cannot imagine. And every single person we talk to that's coming through, the moms, and the desperation in their eyes, they have no idea what they're walking into. They just got sold this trip and said, come on up to America. And basically they're the sacrificial lambs to come in. Now they get here and then they get shipped around to our country, and then they send the TikTok videos home to their family and say, come on up, we made it. But along the way, it is a horror show. And the reason why they're coming, and the reason why they don't know any better, is because of things like this. This was an ad that was given to us into Coakley. We can play that. This goes out to China. This is an ad that actually plays in China. It's a nice trip. Everybody's having a good time. Shows the route. The United Nations and the NGOs also provide the map for the route. Yep, those are the boats we ride across from the Coakley to Akandi or Kapurganon. So we're on those boats going across. Actually, a week before we got there in this last trip, one of those boats capsized, killed 9 people, including a family. A father lost 4 children and his wife. He was the only one who survived. They don't tell that in the brochures. This is the leisurely stroll through the jungle. Now they're coming down the river. They made it out. We can stop it there. You guys get the idea. It's an industry. It's a travel industry, legal immigration travel industry. So that is an ad that's actually playing in China. It goes out through social media to people, inviting them to come. One thing people don't understand is China, we have freedom of movement in America thanks to our First Amendment. The government can't stop us from leaving unless we have a court order or something like that. But in China, it's not the same thing. They not only can stop you from coming in, they can stop you from leaving. And so anyone who's coming has been given authorization by China to do it. Now, some of them get tourist visas. They're allowed to go. But many of them, and actually the Chinese family we interviewed that was escaping the CCP from as Christian, they were Christian dissidents. They're pastors in prison right now. They had to escape. They had to go through Laos and Vietnam and ended up coming that way. But anyone who's coming, and we asked them, I said, well, we hear that we understand your situation, but we hear that many people are coming with bad intentions that are spies and whatnot. And the whole family barely spoke English, and they said, yes, 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 they're coming, they're coming, they're coming. So that just gives you an idea of a small amount of what we're up against. And it's just a fraction. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. I don't know how much time we have. I got a bunch more videos. I want to get to some Q&A. Let's go to the other one. This was a great one. This was just in Minneapolis. Let's play a little bit of this, if it wasn't bad enough. So every city, I drove up. I was actually there for Super Tuesday to cover the elections. We'd just come back from Panama.
¿Tú hablas inglés?
Flew up there. This guy
no.
comes up
No.
from Ecuador.
¿De dónde son?
Ecuador.
Ecuador, okay. ¿Trabajo?
Sí, estamos aquí buscando trabajo todos.
Wow. Papers?
No.
No. Okay. Well, guys, we're in Minnesota, out here covering the elections, and I just happened to come by, saw this big old group of people hanging out here, and was like, what the heck's going on? Come to find out, it's a bunch of illegals out here trying to get jobs. We're gonna go down and talk to these guys. It's wild, man. There are a ton of people out here. I've never seen this many.
We can stop it.
Hola.
Get the idea.
Buenas.
We're all there
¿Habla
doing
inglés?
jobs. It's all under the table. The cartel's making money on all of it, and we're paying for it. So you've got, I call it the three-legged stool of this invasion. You've got the NGOs and United Nations. You've got our leftist traitors in Washington, and then you've got the cartels, the CCP, foreign actors that want to do America harm, terrorists. That three-legged stool is really what's driving this entire thing that we see coming. And right now, until 2024, until the elections, we're pretty well screwed. It's not only that they're not slowing down what's coming across illegally, they're speeding it up. And just to give you an idea, with the last trip we were down there, another friend of mine, Todd Bensman, for Center for Immigration Studies, he calls me up. We're going down. He's like, "Hey, we just got word. The State Department has enacted this new program. We had started hearing about these things called welcome centers about 2 months ago, and it was like, okay, what are these welcome centers? Well, apparently now they're doing these safe mobility sites, safe mobility centers in the middle of the jungle. So they built this massive facility. It's 15 acres that can hold 12,000 plus illegals at a time. So that little village you saw that had 5,000, imagine that 2.5 times as many per day that are coming through. And what they're going to do, and they're already doing, is changing their status from economic migrant to refugee. So then they can, instead of having to continue the route up through Central America and Mexico, they can just fly them directly into our airports. And they're doing it, so the icing on the cake with all of this is they're offering zero interest loans that have no penalty for not paying them back at your expense. So coming from the State Department through the OIM, the United Nations, these guys, you can be in a foreign country, you can get your travel loan from the U.S. federal government, you can qualify as a refugee before you even come, pre-qualify if you will, and we will fly you in, and then we'll give you a court date 3 to 5 to 10 years into the future, by which time you'll have already assimilated or disappeared and into our society. So that's what's happening. So just to wrap it up, the stakes for this election could not be higher. What we are fighting for is the future of my children, the future of their children, and not just the future of the children of America, it's the future of the children of the world. Because if America falls, the world falls. That's what we're up against. We have traitors in Washington, D.C. Joe Biden is a traitor. Kamala Harris is a traitor. Secretary Mayorkas is a traitor. There's no doubt they're already bought off by China and Ukraine. They're corrupted by those countries. But there's no question that many of the people, you look at Mexico, it's a failed narco state for all intents and purposes. The cartels basically control the politicians in Mexico. But the truth is the cartels control many politicians in America. And all you have to do is look at El Paso with Veronica Escobar, any of these politicians. There's no doubt in my mind that they're bought off by the cartels. So what we have to do, if we're going to save this country, we have to elect President Trump. in 2024. That's number one. Everything you see, all the indictments, everything you see going after him, January 6th, all of the people that are being persecuted because of January 6th, all of that is a setup for what we're seeing right now. They use COVID to do mass vote by mail to steal the elections, no doubt about it. We covered that. And now they're setting it up. They used January 6th to make all of these patriots look like terrible people when in reality these guys are the traitors. They are professional deflection. They are professional projectionists. So what they call you is exactly what they are. They are. They call you the bigot. They call you the homophobe. They call you the racist, the sexist, and all these things. When in reality, that's what they are. And that's why we're seeing, I want to give you some, started with the bad news. I want to give you some good news. That people are waking up in massive numbers. And what we're seeing in places like Chicago is an awakening, in particular in the black community and the Hispanic community, the legal Hispanic community. You're having people that are finally waking up and saying, wait a second, the Democrats have run our city and run our states for decades, and we just keep getting worse. And so what I would say, the way we fix this, we have to win in 2024. But we don't just have to win with the presidency. We have to take back the House. We have to take back the Senate. And we have to get rid of the rhinos and people like Mitt Romney. And thank God McCain's gone and some of these other people are gone. But we have to get rid of the rhinos. Look, I blame them more than I do the Democrats. At least the Democrat stabs me in the front. It's the people that claim that they're on our side that are the ones that are really doing us harm. And so everything you can do from now until Election Day to get rid of those guys, to get MAGA patriots in there in every branch and down to the local level, that's what we have to do. And the other side of that is when we take power back, we can no longer be the squishy, nice, look, God has called me to this. God has ordained our steps and our days, and God is in control in all of it. And so glory be to God. But there's no but, glory be to God. He has called us to this, and there's a time to turn the other cheek, and there's a time to take up your sword. And my prayer is that we pray and we ask him when each of those times are. But we have to fight from now for the rest of our lives for good. This is not just a battle of right versus left. This is a battle of good versus evil. This is a battle of light versus darkness. And we have to shine the light. And one thing I'll say is the darker it gets, the brighter your light shines. So the darker you go, the brighter your light shines. So shine the light. I encourage you to do that. When we take power back, we have to take it back to these guys. We have to use the real justice system, not the injustice, two-tiered system that we see now. We need to investigate the politicians that are being paid off by these foreign governments. We need to prosecute and hold them accountable and convict them. And we need to take back the airwaves. We have to fight in every area of society. So no matter what you do, no matter what arena you're in, whether you're a pastor who's fighting for your life from January 6th nonsense, or you're a stay-at-home mom like my amazing wife who raises your children, or you're a business owner, whatever you do, you're a school teacher, you have a part to play in this, and each one of us are divinely called for this time. And so I want to encourage you to do in that. God is not done with this nation. God is not done with you. He's only getting started. And the cool thing is, when we win, it's going to feel a hell of a lot better than if we didn't have to fight at all. So it's like one of those things, you love the cold when you experience the heat. We're experiencing that, and I believe God has called this nation for such a time as this. I believe he has called you for such a time as this, and I believe we're called to win. Thank you. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them before we go.
Larry, I'll come back.
Oh, by the way, this is a legitimate cartel hat. One of the guys we caught trying to smuggle into the United States, he dropped his hat as he ran back into Mexico. So I kept that. So it's kind of a cool souvenir.
So really quick, we have 30 minutes, so make it quick. Just question.
So I was just given this, and I was told to tell you this, but you guys might want to write this down, everybody here. There were two bills put before the House bills that were killed in 2023, and they're now, Pritzker is trying to jam this through to make every city and township in Illinois a sanctuary, and they cannot go ahead and revoke that. And that therefore he can give money, and anyone who even is they can't discriminate on perceived citizenship or immigration status. So I'm just going to tell you, so you guys can go ahead and file witness slips if you can. It's House Bill 1283, and House Bill 2478, and they just came alive 2 days ago. And they will take, it'll be effective immediately.
Hi. So on July 1st, I know Pritzker wants to have issued driver's license to every illegal to make the process smoother. In your opinion, you know, we can register voters the day of election. Do you think these people would show up to vote? Because, I mean, I don't know. I think some of them will fly under the radar because they don't want to like draw attention to themselves. That's like kind of question number one. And question number two is like, so what do you think's the overall, besides watering down our nationalism and watering down our, you know, country, what are the biggest, you know, goals for the deep state or whoever?
Yeah, I'll say yes, driver's licenses for illegals is an absolute disaster coming from California. We did that a few years ago, and they gave all the same nonsense. It's going to make the streets safer. It's going to make you safer. It's going to make them want to communicate with police more and all this. It's all BS. The same thing happened in California. They automatically, when they registered, they got their driver's licenses, they were automatically registered to vote. They had to opt out to not register to vote. And my biggest concern with that is that now you have mass vote by mail in all of these states and all of these counties, and all they have to do is, and you see this, the ballot harvesting, you know, what they did in 2020, what they did in 2022, they just call their friends. You know, a lot of these guys are afraid. A lot of them are controlled by the cartels. A lot of them are, like I said, they're slaves to the cartels, and if somebody tells them, give us your ballot, they're going to give them their ballot. And you have whole teams, networks of people that are doing this across the country that then go harvest all these ballots, they fill them out. You know, that's why we have in Arizona, perfect example. They stole the election with Kerry Lake. They tried to go in and actually even view the ballots, view the signatures, and the courts over there so far still have only allowed a fraction of the ballots to be viewed. But what we do know is when they are viewed, and David Shostokis is a great guy you could talk to about some of this stuff, they will find hundreds of ballots in a row that have the exact same mark. And there's massive, so not even getting into the machines, the vote by mail in America is a fraud machine. And so yes, it is an absolute disaster. If you can avoid it, do not allow illegals to get driver's license. And it doesn't make your roads any safer.
Thank you for being here. Certainly appreciate your information. One-on-one, I'm an election judge, and I've noticed there were a number of people that came, they were Democrats that have voted Republican. My question to you is, how do we approach individuals, Democrats, people on the other side, who I know on an individual basis, if they were aware of the information you've shared today, would want nothing to do with it? What do you propose we do to be most effective at delivering this message to people who have been fooled but would wake up in a heartbeat? And I know this would be repressed. You're never going to get it on the television. How do you propose we educate people? Because I know they'd fight against it, even good-thinking Democrats.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing that. Like I said, we're having massive wake-ups across America. I think that's also partly why, I didn't answer the second part of your question, why they're bringing them in. There is part of it where they're diluting the vote. They know they're losing voters. They have to backfill that. Part of it is cheap labor. The chambers of commerce, they want the cheap labor. As you have, states that do $15 minimum wage, and idiot states like California, they're doing 20 and 25, and some fools are suggesting $50 minimum wage. They have to have an underclass to take advantage of. So part of it's that. But there's no question about it. We have politicians in this country that want to destroy this country. We have communists. We have jihadists. We have Sharia law supporting people. It's basically, it's two camps. We talked about the three-legged stool of the drivers of the illegal immigration. There's also a three-legged stool, I would say, of the powers in America right now. And you've got jihadists on one side, the Palestinians marching out there in our streets right now. Then you have the communists, Antifa, which are basically the same thing. And then you have us. And somewhere on the other side is, the rhino establishment that are basically acting on the behalf of the enemies. And one of these groups is going to win. If the jihadists win, they're throwing the liberals off of buildings, and they're throwing us off of buildings. If the leftists win, you know what happens in communist countries. You create gulags and the rest of it. They believe, and this is, I've heard this all across the country. You go to Berkeley. I got these stitches. Actually, I started my political career. Actually, I started in Tea Party years ago, but I got on this journey after the Lord set me free from drugs and alcohol. And I was in Berkeley, and I got hit over the head for wearing a MAGA hat by a loving, tolerant leftist who believe words are violence, and they believe that they can attack your words with their violence. And so these people, and I've asked them, communism is tried, socialism is tried. Socialism is just communism light. It's the precursor to communism. Has been tried all over the world, and everywhere it's tried, it's failed. What makes you think your communism is going to be any better? And they always tell me the same stupid line. Well, it's never been done right. They're going to be the ones that do it right. And the truth is, it's always been done right. It's always been done the way it's designed to, and it's always been done designed to fail, because eventually you run out of other people's money. There is no benevolent class of people that are willing to work for nothing and give you all their hard-earned money. It's human nature, fortunately or unfortunately, is self-promotion and is self-centeredness to an extent. Now, thank God, God redeems us, and God gives us the free will to give and to be benevolent. And if it weren't for godly people in America, the world wouldn't be as good as it is today. But socialism, communism will fail. And short answer to your question, long answer roundabout to get to it, is they want to destroy this country and remake it in that image. And it will fail. Back to your question. Say it again. Oh, yeah. Very good, very good. Chad, perfect example. I think he stepped out of the building. Terry, where? Oh, Chad's over here. Okay, so you influence the people you have influence over. That's very simple. It may sound kind of cliche, but you know people that will listen to you. Maybe they will. I know a lot of people whose family members have turned on them, and they may be lost causes. There are some lost causes out there that you don't waste your time on. It was, I used to be in sales, and you had, Terry would understand this, A, B, and C customers. A customers are your money makers, your breadwinners. Those are the guys you go after. That's low-hanging fruit. You get them every time. You go get those guys. The B customers are worth the trouble, but they're harder to get. You go after those ones. The C customers aren't worth your time. You don't waste your time on them. So find the people that you can influence and influence those people. Show them the videos, because they'll trust you more than they'll trust me. You can download every single video you see here. You can download it, americasvoice.news. There's a little 3 dot up on the corner of it. You can click download, and you can take it. You can send it as you can upload it as your own video. We just ask you to give us credit. But you can send it to anybody. You can send the links to anybody. You can take my links and send our links to anybody and just say, just watch this. Just watch this and tell me what you think. And one thing I would say is, don't beat people over the head. Ask questions. Man, did you hear about, instead of saying, you idiot, you voted for Biden, you jerk. What an idiot. How stupid could you be? That's not going to get you there. But if you ask them, man, what do you think about the economy? What do you think about what's going on the border? And let them kind of lead you into that. Same thing, kind of salesy, It's like,
okay, quick one, if I may. I've heard in the last couple 6 weeks that Soros is supporting a lot of this.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's been doing it forever. Yeah. In fact, it's not George anymore. It's his son Alex. So he's basically passed the torch. It's the Open Society Foundation. But that's only we shoot our arrows all at him. But there are multiple different organizations. Act Blue. Yeah. So if you go to Act Blue or Indivisible. So look up those two organizations, Act Blue and Indivisible. They will give you a list, a tree, if you will, of all the different organizations. Go to Open Society Foundation, and everybody that's a part of the Open Society's Foundation, you can filter down and find them. So there's a lot of them. And actually, Gary's done a lot of work on these guys too. So
we have to thank Chad. He's the one that brought Ben here. And I was remiss in not saying that. And he's helping bringing Scott Pressler as well. So thank you, Chad. Pressler. He is on our board. So thank you, Chad.
Thank you so much, Debbie. I just want to use this moment because we have you here, and it's such a key, pivotal time. Did you see Cabrini yet?
No. I heard you. I got your text on it. No, I haven't seen it yet.
Watch it. And I wanted to use this for a moment to just give a plug.
Angel Studios?
Angel Studios, yeah. And it's by far the most important movie to what's happening right now in America. So don't just watch it.
Cabrini.
Go watch it. Share it afterwards. I got a QR code you can share. As many people as you can get to watch that movie, that's probably going to be our most powerful oar in the water right now for where we're at. Other than the great work you're doing, thank you. Watch it. You're going to love it.
Yeah. And so if you haven't, I'm guessing you guys have all seen Sound of Freedom. That was from Angel Studios as well, so that's a great one as well. That kind of hits you soft, but that is happening. So the worst part about that movie is the fact that it's one story, and that story is replicated every single day, thousands of times per day. We have child trafficking, human trafficking at a scale that most people not only couldn't comprehend, don't want to comprehend. And until we get, this is pure evil that has to be stopped.
Hello.
Terry.
Hello. As an Italian Catholic, I just wanted to point out a sore spot for Catholics, and if you could talk about Catholic charities, like I've worked with Ben and been speaking to some of these people here in Chicago at the Inn of Chicago, and I ask them, I have a translator, I ask them about Catholic charities. They're helping them here. I go, do they help you at the border? They say yes. So why don't you please explain how Catholic charities, especially, is a big stronghold in Chicago, how they're culpable to what they're doing to our city and our country.
Yeah. So there are 9 primary organizations that fall under the Office of Refugee Resettlement. They're basically the 9 organizations that receive the funding for resettling refugees. And this has gone back, again, since before Obama. There may be some good people involved with some of these organizations, but I have a friend that works in the refugee resettlement program with the unaccompanied minors, and what they call it the refugee game. And the problem now is there's just so much money to be had in this. It just lends itself to corruption. And so all of these organizations now, many of them have been corrupted. The Catholic Charities is run by the Catholic bishops. And so if you are a Catholic, you need to put pressure on the bishops that this has to stop, that you cannot be getting those 30 pieces of silver. I mean, you're Judas at this point to our country. They need to be called out for it. And the truth is, they're not the only ones. It's Lutheran Family Services, Lutheran Social Services, Jewish Family Services, there's Bethany Christian, there's a whole host, again, 9, and then there's hundreds of subsidiaries like Al Otro Lado, like Pueblo Sin Fronteras, and these organizations are pure evil. They are open borders, open communist, hatred of America, out there marching, no borders, no walls, no USA at all. These guys are pure evil, and they're the ones that these bigger umbrella organizations use to then filter the people through into your community. So there is a great website, and I'm drawing a blank on it right now. I will share it with Debbie and your guys' team, and it does a whole background on these guys, and I wish I could think of it right now. I'll get you guys the email or the website. It's based out of Washington. It's like the Heritage Foundation, but it's not the Heritage Foundation. And they've done a whole dive down into all these organizations and the financials and the connections to the other organizations. But if you look up Office of Refugee Resettlement, the organizations that receive the grants from the federal government, you'll get those 9 major ones, and then you can get the subsidiaries as well.
Yes, sir, Mark. We spent the morning going to some migrant places today.
Oh yeah, the welcome. By the way, you guys have a beautiful welcome center through the State Department here in Chicago. Yeah.
So real quick, if you're on Twitter, he just posted a video. You have to follow Ben on Twitter. He has a 15-minute video of what we did today. Can you give us like a 1-minute synopsis of that video? We're on a hard break. This is when you're working with Ben. Steve's giving him signals. He's like, okay, you got 40 seconds. And he's got about 30 minutes of content.
By the way, one more time, who here is War Room Posse? Let me hear it. Steve would say you sound like you're asleep. Wake up the neighbors. Let me hear you. All right.
So 30 seconds on what
all right. Yes. So the welcome centers, the so-called welcome centers, and we had some more over there. Sorry we didn't get the camera over there, but Chloe, you're doing an amazing job. Shout out to Steve Bannon if you're still watching, Maureen Bannon, all of the people, War Room, Cameron, all of you guys, and all of our team, Real America's Voice News, Rob Sig and Parker Sig and everybody there. I am blessed to be able to work where I work. I couldn't do what I do anywhere else, so honored to do it. Welcome Center in Chicago. It is part of the State Department's, they call it was originally controlled flow. Secretary Marcus through the Department of Homeland Security announced this. Actually, when we were in Panama the first trip, they announced this controlled flow effort. It was basically to grease the skids, to put more money into the United Nations, to make it easier for people to come here. And now they have this new program. It's the welcoming centers through the Safe Mobility Office through the State Department, which works directly with OIM who then goes directly to your communities, your cities, your counties, and all of the NGOs, and now you have this conglomerate of enemies of the people that are filtering illegals into your community and hoping that you don't see it. So we showed up there. We started filming. Terry and I went running. We saw a group of them getting, ushered over to the warming buses. They're using your buses to warm the illegals while you just come from a tent encampment of homeless American citizens, many veterans down the street, that they're not warming them, they're not giving them resources. They're still making millions of dollars on the homeless industry. They don't want to fix that industry either because there's just more people to control and more money to filter to their leftist organizations. So we go down there, we start filming. They say, you can't be here. We have what do they call it? They have a permit. They had a permit to keep us off of the public sidewalks, which is total BS. But I loved it because it just shows their hypocrisy. So we went, police came, they ended up backing us up saying, no, you can be here. The police know it's nonsense, but sadly you have people like Mayor Johnson and police chiefs in the cities across America that are controlled by the left that are doing their bidding. And we saw it with COVID. We saw it when President Trump was in office, and we saw the 4 years of coup against President Trump with Antifa, BLM being able to burn down your cities with impunity. And now we're seeing your money being taken through the State Department, funneled to these welcoming centers to then ship illegals into your community and hope that you don't see it. So it's bad. It's all bad. Go watch the video. Social media, @Ben if you don't already have it. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I'm Carolyn Guglielmo, and thank you so much for being here and stepping up for America. Thank you to Steve Bannon, and thank you to everybody in this room who showed up, because that's what America needs right now. We need people to show up, get up, and stand up. I am the daughter of a U.S. Border Patrolman on the California-Mexican border, and he retired as Deputy Director of Special Investigations under President Carter, number 3 guy at Immigration. Wow. My dad is rolling in the grave. Yeah. We were told as youngsters growing up in the D.C. swamp that there would be a race war, that one day Spanish would be the first language of this nation. Okay, this is a planned migration. If you look back at Aon Risk Services or Willis on their global risk reports over the last 20 to 15 years, they predicted planned migration. Yep. So everybody you fund in corporate America, I think Mr. Newsom mentioned the Catholic charities. These are people next door to us. Yep. These are people we fund. Yep. But anyways, in the future, and perhaps, in your closing remarks, you can really hammer home all of these NGOs that we are funding at Walmart, at Target, Johnson & Johnson, Global Initiative, and really hammer home that we need to stop funding people. If we're not going to stand up or step up, at least make a sacrifice in the products that we're buying. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure, and thank you for your father's service. This is, so real quick on that, yes, you have to put your money into companies that share the values you believe in. There's a few of those that some people know, BlackRock, Vanguard. It's really not even the corporations themselves, it's the companies that own the financial interest in those corporations, and they're working directly to undermine America, pushing the DEI garbage, and creating more of a race war. All of that is happening, and you have to put your money there. By the way, the sponsor for all of these, if I can give them a shout out, is Patriot Mobile, so they're one of those. If you don't have them yet, they sponsor what I do. It's patriotmobile.com. If you use promo code RAV, you get free activation with them. So they're a company, if you want to put your money into a faith-based, it's the only faith-based, conservative, mobile company out there, and their service is incredible. PatriotMobile.com, use promo code RAV. Support companies, but the problem is in a lot of these, you don't have too many alternatives. I don't shop at Target anymore, but honestly, we live in Arkansas now. Walmart's not much better, and a lot of these organizations. So if you can shop at small mom and pops, do that. Support the small companies that you can in your communities. But it's an uphill battle. I mean, these corporations, and in particular the chambers of commerce, they want the cheap labor. They're all bought in on the DEI. It all goes back to the World Economic Forum. All of this stuff is connected, whether it's the abortion industry, whether it's transgenderism and all the crap we see going on in our schools today. It's all part of the same demonic enemy that we're facing, and we have to fight it. I fight it on the front I'm on, but there's multiple fronts that we have to fight it on. So yes, if you can, support those companies. We got a mic back here. Debbie, I know we have a few people on this side. I don't know if we...
Wait, I know. They started lining up over here.
Oh, okay.
We're going to I'm sorry, I know everyone has questions, but he's got a family. We've got to let it end it at 8. So, Max?
By the way, I'll stick around until my wife tells me it's time to go.
So Max is next.
Hi, Ben. I had a quick question on how you feel about Tyson Foods.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
All of their blue-collar workers
Yeah.
and hiring all the immigrants.
Yeah, a perfect example. So Tyson Food, again, we live in Arkansas. There was a strange anomaly, and I don't have the details on it yet. We're doing some investigations in Arkansas. We had this bus show up out in the middle of nowhere. It was the similar white illegal alien bus. Bunch of migrant-looking people got dropped off out in the middle of nowhere down this dirt road. They ended up saying it was this group from this church out of Texas, and there was nothing to see here. I still don't know the bottom line on that question, but as we were driving, we went to investigate this. I was driving back, and it was nothing but poultry farms all the way back to our house. And this is all across the country. People don't realize this, the industries, the meat packing industry, the hospitality industry, most of the hotels across America, and the food industry, food services they use illegal aliens, they use these refugees, so-called refugees, they use slave labor, many of them, to keep their prices down. And sadly, it's as Biden's inflation goes up and the cost of energy goes up, there's a natural tendency for these companies to look for cheaper ways of doing things. Some of it's that. I think some of it's just pure greed, and they just don't care. And some of it's cartel controlled. In every major city in America, we have cartel influence. And so some of these corporations even have, if you go to Mexico and you're a corporation on the border, you are controlled by the cartel. They tell you what to do. They tell you what's coming through. They say, when a package is coming through your area. And a lot of people would say, well, I wouldn't ever let them do that to me. I'm a good old American. I'm a patriot. And that's, if they come to you and say, hey, we want you to do this, and here's $1 million, we'll pay you. It's one thing. And, a lot of us would even say on our morals, nope, we're not going to do that. But they don't just come with that. They give you that offer first. And if you say no, then they come back and say, by the way, you're going to do this, and if you don't, we're going to kill your family. And so that's what we're up against. So some of that, again, there needs to be investigations into it. Tyson Food, what they did to fire American citizens to replace them with even so-called refugees, it's a slap in the face to America, and they need to hear about it. Every single company that does that needs to hear about it. There is a massive replacement of American workers, and you see that in the inner city of Chicago. That's why the inner city's waking up, and they need to know that we are not going to not only not buy their products, we're going to boycott them, and we're going to protest them, and we're eventually going to shut them down. And then we're going to investigate them when we get control back to find out what actually led to those decisions.
Right.
Hang on one second.
Thank you so much, Ben, for coming out. I really appreciate it. My question is, if we want to support you, how do we contact you? What do we do? How can we help?
Well, I appreciate that. What's your name?
Roxanne.
God bless you, Roxanne. So the first couple years I started doing this, and I'll just say another shout out to my wife, we went for 2 years with no income, and I was just, I just felt like the Lord had called me to do it. And Billy, I'd have to come home and say, babe, just trust in the Lord. He's got this. He's got our back. And it was very, very difficult. We weren't sure how we were going to pay our mortgage every month, and somehow every single month God provided. And so I praise the Lord for that. And I just, if you want to support it, there's several ways you can do that. First off, make sure you follow Real America's Voice News. You share that with all of your friends, because the bigger Real America's Voice gets, the more my voice gets to spread out there, the better it is for us. Steve Bannon in the War Room, the rest of that. And if you want to give directly, my website's frontlineamerica.com. We have a donate link there. It's through PayPal. If you don't like PayPal, you can give directly. But I also have sponsors. There's companies that I use, mypillow.com. If you use promo code Frontline, that helps us. That helps Mike Lindell. That also helps me as well. Frontlineprep.com is the prepping side. You can get your food supplies. FrontlineAmericaGear.com if you want to get some of these sweet hats, and I've got some flags over here. You can do that. So there's multiple ways. If you go to FrontlineAmerica.com, you can pretty much find those. And huge shout out to my writer, Carrie Donovan. does amazing work on our website. If you want some of the stories, the videos, huge shout out to her as well. But thank you. I appreciate it. And my wife really appreciates it too. And so do the girls.
Ben, my name is Larry Smith, and I just wanted to give you a glimmer of hope because Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, we're opening the first Republican office at 8457 South Pulaski in Chicago.
Awesome. Hey, let me just tell you guys, they are begging, the inner city of Chicago is begging you to go there. They are begging you to come to them. They just don't know who you are. You have generations of people in the inner city, not just in Chicago, across America, who've been brainwashed. That was the term they used yesterday. Generations of families that have been brainwashed into voting for Democrats. And not that all Republicans are good. We need to know the difference between the good ones and the bad ones. We've got to get rid of the establishment rhinos. But they are waiting. They are ripe. The harvest is ripe. You just have to show up. And the perfect person, I'm not going to be the one that makes the connections for you, but Chad Levrau is an awesome guy. Terry Newsom, Mark Weiermiller, all of you guys, they've got some awesome connections there. Talk to them and get into those communities. They're waiting for you. They're waiting for President Trump. They want him to come to town. But until he comes, we need to give them hope. You know, again, influence the people you have influence over, but reach out to the places you feel uncomfortable. Everything I've done in my life that's meant anything has been through discomfort. You know, everything that has changed my life for the better, even the addiction, some of that stuff, I wouldn't recommend that you go and do that. But all of that stuff, if it's not hard, it doesn't make you grow. And I'm just telling you, man, go into those uncomfortable places and be willing to step out. They're ready for you. No, yes, absolutely. That's it. If you want to work, you've got to see results. You've got to get uncomfortable. So do that.
Larry Smith said you can see him after if you want to go help with opening.
Larry Smith, guys, yes, help them there. Talk to Chad, make the connections. You guys all are part of the body.
Ben, I'm from Springfield, Illinois, which is about 3.5 hours south. One thing we're doing there that it's an action step.
Yeah.
One by one, we're going before the city council and asking, what are you doing to protect the taxpayers' money being drained by the migrants?
Yeah.
2 months ago, 4 Republicans in McLean County voted with the Democrats to continue funding the illegals. So we need to show up, and nobody was there. So in this desperate time, you need to be at your county board meetings, your city hall meetings, email. This is another thing. I emailed my alderman and said, what's Springfield doing to protect the taxpayers?
Yeah.
And I got no response. The alderman will not respond, but then you have them on record.
Yeah. So on that, these guys hate it. They do this. They have networks of scumbag liberals that go and harass Republicans. That they basically, that's their industry. And a lot of the times, the Republicans for years, I know a lot of them that believe what we believe, but they're too busy raising their family. They're too busy running their businesses, you can't be too busy anymore. And one thing I know is liberals, leftists, Democrats, everybody hates being confronted. Confront them. When I got Mayor Johnson down at City Hall for abandoning you guys, they absolutely hate that, and they need to hear it every single day. These guys, you got to make their lives so miserable for the hell that they're putting you through and for our country through. And in particular, if they're Republicans, run their ass out of office. Excuse me, girls. Run their ass out of office. They need to hear. They need to go. What were you going to ask, ma'am? Okay. So if I had a hierarchy, so the question was who's at the top of the food chain. If I had a hierarchy of bad, you would have the money. You'd have the money behind a lot of this. So you've got the interests that are funding a lot of this. But really, the tip of the spear would be if you want an organization, would be the United Nations. I mean, they're really when it comes to illegal immigration, they're number one. United Nations and the World Economic Forum. These groups are, NATO may fall into that. All of these, the World Bank, all of these organizations are basically controlled by communist leftists now. And what's controlling those are the money interests. So foreign money, foreign interests, foreign governments that are funneling into these organizations. The United Nations only does what its members tell them to do. we're one member. We were the primary funder of it compared to any other country, but there's other members, and they're the ones that dictate the policy and drive these. Well, part of it is waking the people up to the fact that it's happening and calling out again, every Republican should be pushing to defund the United Nations. We should be pushing, so a couple things. Defund the United Nations, defund and investigate every NGO, again, I already said this, but I'm reiterating it, every NGO that's receiving money to facilitate the invasion of America. And then, again, if there's prosecutions that need to happen, those need to happen. But it's the funding mechanisms that drives all of this.
It's after 8 o'clock.
Thank you,
and
guys.
So we want to say thank you so much to Ben. Unbelievable presentation. Thank you to his family here. Thank you to Chloe and Livy and his wife.
Huge shout out to Chloe, my camera girl, and Olivia for staying awake, and Lillian for sleeping through the whole thing, and Billy, my beautiful wife.
And we want to make sure, remember to follow Ben, and God bless the USA.
Amen, amen, amen.